Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into something truly mind-blowing. Today, we're tackling the nature of spirits themselves.
And get this, we're going straight to the source for this deep dive.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. What's on the docket?
We'll be exploring Allan Kardec's The Spirits book.
Now, that's a classic, full of insights from, well, spirits, right?
Exactly. Kardec gathered these insights through mediums asking spirits direct questions.
Wow, talk about cutting out the middleman. So we're getting a first-hand account from the other side.
You could say that. Specifically, we're focusing on Part 2, Chapter 1, all about spirits.
Sounds intense. Where do we even begin with something like that?
Well, Kardec starts with the basics. What is a spirit?
Makes sense. Gotta lay the groundwork, right? So what do spirits have to say for themselves?
Their answer is simple, yet profound. Intelligent beings of creation, populating the universe beyond the material world.
Okay, that's pretty clear.
Okay.
They're not physical beings like us, but intelligent beings, meaning they have consciousness, thoughts, maybe even emotions.
Absolutely. And it also hints at the vastness of the spirit world. It's not some tiny corner of existence, it's a whole universe beyond what we can perceive.
It really makes you wonder what that universe is like, what those spirits experience.
Exactly. It's a universe full of possibilities.
I know, right? But
Yeah.
hold on, let's back up for a second. Where did these spirits come from?
Now that's where things get a bit mysterious. Kardec asked that very question. Turns out, even the spirits don't have all the answers.
Wait, they don't know their origin story?
Well, not exactly. They acknowledge being God's creation, but the specifics of how and when that happened, it's a mystery.
So, like a divine secret, adds to the intrigue, wouldn't you say?
For sure. But they were clear about one thing. The creation of spirits is continuous. It's not like a one-time event. God's work, ongoing, always creating.
New spirits joining the ranks all the time. It paints a pretty dynamic picture of the spirit world.
It does. And it begs the question, how do these new spirits learn and evolve? Something we can definitely explore later on.
Looking forward to it. But for now, I'm curious about what these spirits are like. I mean, they're not physical, so what are they made of? What's their essence?
That's where things get tricky. We're trying to grasp something beyond human perception.
That's like explaining colors to someone who's been blind their whole life.
Exactly. And the spirits recognize this challenge too. They prefer the term incorporeal over immaterial.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
Incorporeal means they lack physical bodies as we know them, but they do have a substance, just not one we can easily grasp.
So not just wisps of energy floating around.
Nope, they have a form enveloped by something called a perispirit.
Paraspirit. Now that's a new one. Break it down for me.
Think of it as a semi-material envelope surrounding the spirit. Not quite matter as we know it, but not completely immaterial either, like a bridge between their essence and the physical world.
Fascinating. So a way for them to interact with our world.
You got it. And here's where things get even cooler. The perispirit actually changes depending on the world the spirit's in.
Hold up. Like a cosmic wardrobe change.
Pretty much. A denser perispirit for less evolved worlds like ours, and presumably a lighter one for more evolved realms.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So we have intelligent, incorporeal beings with their paraspirits navigating different worlds. But are all spirits created equal? Is there some kind of ranking system?
Oh, you're in for a treat, because that's where it gets even more interesting. The spirits reveal there's a hierarchy based on their level of purification and progress.
Ooh, a spiritual pecking order. Tell me more.
Well, we'll dive into the specifics of that right after.
Wait, full on. Don't leave me hanging. We got to hear about this hierarchy.
All right, no need to worry. Picture this.
Okay, I'm all ears.
The spirits described 3 main orders. Think of it like levels in a video game. At the top, we've got the pure spirits.
So the ultimate goal, the ones who've reached peak enlightenment.
Exactly. They've basically aced the game of existence. They radiate pure goodness.
Wow. The spiritual gurus, the role models. But where does everyone else fit in?
That's where things get even more fascinating. Let me explain. The second tier. The second tier is occupied by the good spirits. Think of them as the spirits who are on the right track morally, but still learning and evolving.
Okay, so like us humans, striving to be better, but not quite saints yet. Are these the spirits we might encounter, trying to guide us?
You got it. They haven't forgotten what it's like to be in the material world and often try to lend a helping hand.
That's reassuring. So what about the bottom rung? You mentioned imperfect spirits earlier. What makes them imperfect?
Well, they're still really attached to material desires. They haven't quite grasped that whole selflessness thing.
Still working through some baggage, huh?
Exactly. And within this group, there are different classes, each with their own, well, quirks.
Okay, I gotta know. Give me the rundown. What kind of characters are we talking about?
All right, well, there are the impure spirits who, like the name suggests, delight in stirring up trouble, influencing humans, toward not so noble actions.
Ah, the troublemakers. Makes you wonder what kind of shenanigans they get up to in the spirit world.
Then you have the frivolous spirits. Think of them as the pranksters, the jesters.
Oh, the ones responsible for all those unexplained noises and missing socks.
Possibly. They might not be malicious, but definitely mischievous.
Got it. Any other types we should be aware of?
One more that might resonate with folks is the pseudo-learned spirits. They have some knowledge, but are, well, a bit full of themselves.
Ooh, the know-it-alls. We've all met a few of those. So with this whole hierarchy, can spirits move up the ranks? Or is an imperfect spirit stuck forever?
No, that's a great question. And it gets to the heart of spiritual progression. Kardec specifically asked if spirits can regress, slide back down the ladder. The answer was a resounding no.
So no backsliding. Once you learn something, it's a permanent upgrade.
It seems that way, but it does raise the question of how they progress in the first place.
Right, like do they get experience points for good deeds or something?
It's not quite like that. The spirits emphasize that progress is tied to their choices, their desire to learn, and their willingness to follow God's will.
So it's all about intention and action.
Exactly. But here's where things get even deeper. Kardec wondered why spirits weren't created perfect to begin with. Why all this trial and error?
Yeah, why not just skip to the good part?
The spirits actually challenged that thinking. They said the point is the journey, the struggle, the gradual shedding of imperfections. Starting perfect would be like skipping to the end of a movie, you miss all the good stuff.
I can see that. It's about the process, the growth, and honestly, that makes sense even for us humans. We learn the most from our mistakes, from challenges.
Right. And the spirits even suggested that this inequality, this difference in their progress, is actually necessary for their personalities to develop. Imagine a world where everyone was identical.
Sounds pretty boring.
Exactly. Variety is the spice of life, even in the spirit world. But let's get real for a sec. We're talking about spirits striving for good, for perfection. But some spirits do some pretty messed up things. How does that fit into the whole progression story?
That's a great point. It's not like God creates evil spirits, right? They become that way through their choices.
Precisely. The spirits emphasize that they all have the potential for both good and evil. It's their decisions, their will, that determines their path.
But hold on, if they start out simple and ignorant, how can they even make those choices in the beginning? It's like expecting a baby to understand right from wrong.
Ah, that's a sharp observation. And the spirits addressed it. They explain that free will develops along with self-awareness. It's not something they have from the get-go, but rather something that emerges gradually as they learn and experience the consequences of their actions.
So the more they understand, the more responsible they become for their choices.
Exactly. Like a child growing up, their understanding expands, and so does their capacity for making those choices, good or bad. But here's where things get even more complex.
Uh-oh, I sense a plot twist coming.
They also talked about the influence of other spirits on their journeys, both good and bad.
Wait, so those imperfect spirits, especially the impure ones, can actually sway others to make bad choices?
It seems so. Imagine a universe where your thoughts and actions are constantly being influenced by unseen forces, some pushing you towards good, others tempting you towards less desirable paths.
Whoa, it's like a cosmic battle playing out in the spirit world, everyone trying to sway each other. So even with all this influence, do the spirits who make terrible choices, the ones lost in darkness, have any chance of redemption?
That's the message of hope the spirits conveyed. No one is eternally damned. Everyone, even those who have strayed far from the path of good, will eventually find their way back.
That's actually incredibly comforting. It means there's hope for everyone. But before we get too lost in these deep existential questions, there's one more biggie I gotta ask about.
Let me guess, angels and demons.
You read my mind. We've talked about good spirits, imperfect spirits. But what about these iconic figures? Do they fit into this whole spirit hierarchy?
Ah, the age-old battle. Well, get ready for a fascinating twist, because the spirits offered a perspective that challenges those traditional notions of angels and demons.
Okay, lay it on me. So what's the deal with angels and demons then? Give me the inside scoop.
Well, first of all, ditch those images of wings and halos, horns and pitchforks. The spirit's view was much more nuanced.
Okay, so no literal wings or horns.
Sure.
Less like Renaissance paintings, more like...
More like pure energy and intention. When it came to angels, they basically said those are just pure spirits, the ones at the top of the hierarchy.
Makes sense. The ultimate good guys radiating pure goodness. But what about demons? Are those just imperfect spirits at their worst?
Not exactly. The spirits were very clear that demon shouldn't be taken literally. It's not some permanently evil creature.
So more like a label we humans slap on those imperfect spirits who are still causing trouble, making bad choices.
You got it. They might act in ways we see as demonic, but they're not inherently evil. They still have the potential to evolve, to learn, and eventually climb that hierarchy.
Wow, that's a game changer. Even those dark side spirits have a chance at redemption. It might take a while, but there's hope.
Hmm.
But if this whole hierarchy exists, where do we fit in? We're here in the material world, they're in the spirit world. How do those connect?
That's what Kardec wanted to know. And the spirits' answers were fascinating. They didn't see those realms as completely separate. In fact, they emphasized constant interaction, influence flowing back and forth.
This is not like we live our lives here and then, poof, become spirits in a totally different dimension when we die.
Nope. They described humans as spirits incarnated in physical bodies for a purpose.
To learn, evolve, and progress on our own spiritual journeys.
Yeah.
Just like those spirits in the hierarchy.
Exactly. And all our experiences here, the good, the bad, the relationships, the challenges, they contribute to our growth.
So even the tough stuff, the heartbreaks, the losses, those all serve a purpose.
The spirits suggest they do. Even the most difficult experiences help us learn, become more compassionate, strengthen our spirits.
It's like a refining metal with fire. Need heat and pressure to make it strong.
Powerful analogy. And we're not alone in that process. Those good spirits are looking out for us, trying to guide us.
Like a spiritual support system, cheering us on to make good choices.
You could say that. But they can't force us, remember? We still have free will. It's our choice which path we take.
So it's a constant tug of war between those good and bad influences, and we're the ones in the middle.
That's one way to picture it. And it shows how important it is to develop those positive qualities, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, love. They help us resist those darker influences.
So it's not just about what happens after we die. It's about how we live right now, in this material world.
Absolutely. It all ties together.
Wow, this deep dive into the Spirits book has really opened my eyes to this spirit world. It's incredible to think about all those unseen forces and influences at play.
And a little comforting, too, knowing we're not alone on this journey. And remember, this is just a glimpse of what Kardec covers. If you're intrigued, I highly recommend exploring the Spirits book further. There's a whole universe of knowledge waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. Who knows, maybe we'll even revisit Kardec's work in a future deep dive.
Yeah.
But for now, we've reached the end of our exploration. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep those spirits bright.